Hello? Hi, it's been a while. Today, I'm going to be cutting my bangs, and I'm also going to be talking about like the first year of architecture.
But it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just now leaving the architecture building. So I want to give you a little update on how I'm doing. Poorly.
There's like 2 questions on my first video about architecture, so I'm going to answer those. But the architecture video like kind of low-key popped off, and I was not expecting it to. So I thought that I should talk about my first year, give you some tips, and just, you know, let's get on into it. Alright, so I was gonna let my bangs grow out, and then I like asked my friends, and they were all like, oh no, like you look way better with bangs. And I was like, whoa, guess I'm cutting them. Okay, so first I want to start off talking about like why I haven't been making videos. I don't think anyone cares because I don't really have that big of a following, but I'm still gonna let you guys know. First reason why I was gone is because I literally could not film. I filmed on my phone, and I have like run out of storage on my phone. My phone is completely broken, and I bought a camera so that I could film, but my camera didn't get here until after school was over. So another reason why I was gone is I wanted to make another week in the life of an architecture student vlog, but if you remember from the last video, I had 2 friends in that vlog, and both of them have dropped out of architecture. So that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about too, is depending on where you go, this probably varies. I go to Kent State, but architecture is a really hard major, and they try to weed people out the first year. Most of the people that you start the year with aren't gonna finish the year with you. Whoa! That's just how it is. Just try to stick it out. I made it through my first year, hopefully gonna make it through my second year, and then I've heard once you get through second year, it gets a lot easier because they've like successfully weeded out everyone who didn't really want to be there, you know? But until you get to there, it's pretty difficult. I'm gonna start cutting my bangs. Like I said, I'm going to Kent State, and we have a pretty good architecture program, if I do say so myself. I like it there. I'm going there mostly because I'm in state, and it was a lot cheaper to go in-state than to go somewhere else. If you want to go to like a private school, then like Carnegie Mellon is good. Another state college, Rhode Island's architecture school is supposed to be like bomb. I've heard that Illinois school is good. Pretty much any like big state school is gonna have an architecture program. You just need to do your research to see like for example, I visited Ohio State. The amount of people that went on to continue their masters, because in order, oh my god, I'm all over the place, and Lizzie's gonna kill me in editing. Okay. In order to be a licensed architect, you need to have your master's in architecture. So you can go for 4 years and study architecture and then just go out into the work field, but what you're going to be called is a project manager. You're going to do the exact same thing as an architect, but you're going to get paid a lot less. Whereas if you finish the master's program, which is usually a year or 2 years extra, then you can become a licensed architect. You do the same thing as a project manager, but you make a lot more money. So at Ohio State, the other place that I was looking at for architecture, they have about 97% of their students not continue on to the master's, and that kind of scared me because like if that many students don't want to go on to the master's, like how difficult and taxing is your program? Whereas at Kent State, those numbers are pretty much flipped. So just do your research beforehand, and that should help you make your decision. But a major reason why I chose my college is because it's just in-state for me. So yeah, back to my bangs. This video is really such a mess. One thing I would recommend if you're going into architecture, I did not do this and I wish that I would have done this, is find out, I look so stupid right now. Find out what software you're going to be working with at your school. So like Rhino or AutoCAD or Revit, any of those. Find out which one your school uses and try to like find a couple lessons on it. I found some Rhino lessons now that I'm taking currently on like UDMY or something like that. I'll link the website down below, but try to like find some, either like a class at a community college that you can take or some online classes. YouTube usually has videos, but sometimes they're like a little bit iffy. Just try to find out what kind of software you're going to be using and learn it. Because at least at my school, they barely taught us how to use the software. And we had like some, you know, tutorials on it, and like we had some upperclassmen that were like available to help us if we needed it, but like for the most part we just kind of had to figure it out for ourselves, because at Kent State we use Rhino, and I assume that's what most schools are turning to, because that's what a lot of firms are turning to, and a lot of the professors have never used Rhino before. They've used AutoCAD, so they don't really know how to teach it, and they also don't really like to teach it. They like to kind of just like throw you at it and like let you figure it out for yourself. So if you can, I highly recommend finding out which software you're going to be using and trying to learn it, because I didn't do that, and I really struggled with my like digital renderings for the entire year. Which brings me to my next point. You never know what kind of professor you're gonna get. My first semester, I had a professor who was on tenure, which if you don't know what that means, tenure basically just means that you can't get fired unless you like break the law or something. Like, you have to do something really bad in order to get fired if you're on tenure, which means that this professor did not have to follow the curriculum. At Kent State, there's one big room, and all of the separate studios are in there. You're probably going to have like 10 to 15 other people in your studio, and you have one professor, but everyone essentially is doing like the same project. Your project's going to like turn out a little bit differently depending on what professor you have, because they're going to focus on a different aspect of the project. But if you have a professor that's tenured and doesn't care like I did, you're not going to be doing the same thing as everybody else. So, entire first semester, while everyone was kind of like learning Rhino and learning Photoshop and learning Adobe Illustrator and like learning all the online stuff and learning all these like technical terms that I didn't know, I was building things with sticks.
This looks like spaghetti.
And honestly, I had a good time first semester. My professor was a little bit of a jerk. That's just how it is sometimes. And I liked it because I liked building stuff like physical models, but the only problem is that once I got to second semester and I was with a professor who actually was following the curriculum, and I was with a bunch of other students who followed the curriculum for a semester, I was a little bit behind in terms of Rhino and terminology and pinups. So pinups are something that you're probably going to do every time you have studio. I had studio Monday, Wednesday, Friday. First semester, didn't do pinups because my professor, but second semester, we did do pinups. You get a critique every day. It just depends on like what you're turning in for the day. If you're just turning in something that's like a continuation of what you just worked on, then you're probably just going to get a critique. If you're turning in something that's new, that you like just made and hasn't been reviewed before, you might pin it up. So a pin up, you pin it up in front of the class, in front of your studio, and you either talk about it or the professor just kind of like critiques them one by one in front of everybody, and kind of sucks because like your work is kind of getting like torn apart in front of your classmates, but that's just how architecture be. Oh, the other thing about first year architecture, I don't know if this is the norm or if it's just like a Kent State thing, but it's super abstract, like super abstract. Like, you are not going to be building buildings. You are going to be building like, I don't even like know how to describe it.
Ooh.
Here's my predicament. I need to be somewhere today. So I think what I'm gonna do is finish up my bangs and then come back tonight after the thing I have to go to and finish talking about architecture. I think I'm pretty much done with my bangs. This is what they look like, bang montage. Okay, montage over. So I'm gonna go to the thing that I have, and tonight we'll finish our chit chat about architecture. Okay, so I left and went to my thing, and then I never finished filming. So we're gonna continue now. Since I like filmed the first half of this video, I've gotten a lot of questions on my last video about architecture. So in this half, I'm gonna finish up what I was saying, and I'm gonna answer those questions. And I'm also gonna be cutting Lizzie's hair because. Okay, let's just get into it.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Okay. What I was saying in the first half is basically just that, like, the first year, at least at Kent State, is just super, like, abstract. And you're not going to be building buildings, basically just, like, seeing what you can create with what you're given. And at Kent State, if you are interior design, architecture, or architectural studies, you're all doing the same exact thing, which I think is kind of strange because, like, arch studies is just studying architecture, so I don't know why they need to be doing the same thing as an actual architecture major, that's what I am. I'm actually architecture. I'm not interior design or arch studies, but that's just something to note and look out for, is that you're going to be doing the same thing. So if you don't want to do that and you're looking into art studies, maybe you don't choose to go to Kent State. Oh, the other thing is, like, if you are doing a lot of, like, post-secondary or AP classes, it's not really going to help you, like, at all. Oh my god. You'll be able to, like, get rid of your electives, but you're not going to shave any time off of your actual time in college, because for architecture, you have to do Design Studio 1 to do Design Studio 2. Like, you can't do all of your schooling in, like, 1 or 2 years like you can in some other majors. So that might be a turnoff for some people. I don't really care. But just know that if you're doing, like, post-secondary, it might not be helpful for you if you're planning on going into architecture. Another thing is, like, I thought it was really difficult first semester, and I was there pretty much from about, like, 9 o'clock at night to anywhere from 1 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's just me, though. Other people came into studio and they finished their projects in, like, an hour and they were out. It kind of just depends on, like, you. But I would say prepare for late nights, because around final review time, you're definitely going to spend at least one nighter in the architecture building. So that's something to look out for. So on my last video, I had some questions in the comments about architecture. So I'm going to be answering those now. So someone said, can you do marching band with architecture? And yes, you can. I did it, but make sure that you're really going to love it, because I did not, and I was miserable. And if you don't really love it, it's just going to be completely draining, because a lot of your time is going to be dedicated to architecture. So if you're going to do an extracurricular like that, just make sure that it's something that you really want to do, because you definitely have time to do it, but if it's draining, you're not going to want to. That's what I would say. I wouldn't do it again, but if I had liked it, I would. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you just hated band.
I hated it. Like, it was awful.
So it was bad. So if you like band, I wasn't there. But if you like band, then it would be worth it. It's not like it was really affecting your time, right?
Yeah, no.
It's just that you didn't enjoy it. So if you enjoy band, then
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be at football games, so the nights that you have football games, you're going to be getting to studio late, but it's really not going to take that much time out of your actual architecture schedule. At least for me, it didn't. The next question that I got was, do you have to be an artsy person to do architecture? This person said that they're creative but not artsy. And I'd say that you definitely don't have to be an artsy person. If you're creative, that should be enough. The only thing is, like, sketches. We did have to do a lot of sketches, and I was not good at sketches, but a lot of it is turning digital. So if you can't draw, you should be fine because all of it is digital. So you just need to learn the programming and software, but you don't need to be like necessarily artsy. The next class was, what is your hardest class so far? The only architecture class that I have taken has been Design Studio 1. So in the architecture major, the hardest class that I would have taken is Design Studio 1. But overall, if you just are asking about my college experience, macroeconomics, that class sucks. The next question is, how long do you spend in school on an average day? I've heard rumors that you guys spend a lot of time in studio. We do spend a lot of time in studios. When I was doing the physical models, which was first semester, I probably spent, so class time was from 8:50 to 10:45, and then at nights I would spend about 9 to 12 hours there a night, and I did that about 3 nights a week. So it's a lot of time, but again, like I said earlier, some people just come in and they leave because they're just that fast at doing their projects. I was not. I did my projects really slow, so it depends on the person, but you're gonna spend a lot of time in the studio regardless. What's the school life balance like? I don't have a life, so I'm not the person you should ask about that. But I mean, if you want to go out and party, you can. There were kids who would come in on a Thursday night, finish up their project, and then leave to go party, and then come into studio the next day at 8:50 in the morning. I didn't do that because I was still in the studio Thursday night working until 1 a.m. But if you want to, you can. You just need to prioritize getting your work done, obviously, because that's more important. The next question is, what made you go into architecture? And I get this question a lot from other people because they're like, why would you choose architecture? It's such a hard major. And here's my answer. I took a career test which told you which career you should go into, and I got architecture. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that, but the reason why I chose to actually go into architecture instead of going undecided or doing an exploratory program is because of what I said earlier, that you can't really shave time off of your major. So if I would have gone into exploratory, decided that I liked architecture, and then chose to go into architecture, I'd be in school for 7 to 8 years. Whereas if I start in architecture, decide that I don't like it, and switch to something else, I'll be in school for less time. So if you think you might like it, I'd say go for it based off of my logic, but if you think my logic's stupid, which it kind of is, then don't listen to me.
It's so good.
I know. This next question is, what's your favorite part about architecture? And I honestly have not been in architecture very long at all. I just finished my freshman year. So I don't really know. Honestly, I liked final review a lot, which is where you present in front of real architects in the field, and you present your final projects and they give you critiques on them. I thought that was the most what we're actually going to be doing in the field with clients. So I like that. I like final review. I think it's helpful, but I really haven't been in the program long enough to have an opinion on that. And the last question I got is, what kind of person makes a great fit for architecture? And I would say if you like to use both sides of your brain, math-minded people are left brain, and then more creative, artsy type people are right brain. And I think it's important that you have both. In architecture, you're going to need to take calculus for architecture. That's the highest math that you're going to need, at least at Kent State. There might be higher at other schools. But the highest math that I needed was calculus, and I love math, but I also really like dance and creative stuff. So I think it's important to have a balance of both, or else I think you're probably going to struggle in architecture. I had a friend who went into architecture thinking that he would like it, but he ended up switching to civil engineering because it was too like conceptual. So just like look at like what you're good at in school and what you like in school, which kind of subjects, and then if you like both, then architecture is probably a good fit for you. This video was all over the place. It's very messy, but I hope this helped people who are wanting to go into architecture. When I start back in the fall, I'll hopefully have more vlogs for you guys because you guys seem to like the last vlog that I did. But yeah, that's all I got, so.